Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North, our top story tonight. More strikes across our region as nurses stage a second day of action.
It's an incredibly sad day for the NHS and for nurses. We should not be here. We need them to come to the table. Talk to us.
Yorkshire Ambulance Service declares a critical incident as ambulance workers walk out tomorrow. Also tonight, an increase in the number of pet owners handing their dogs over for rehoming as the cost of living bites. And the street in Sheffield that swapped Christmas lights for chocolate delights. And the toy shop trolley dash to buy gifts for children living in poverty.
Some rain to come later tonight, more sunshine tomorrow, but what about the following days and into the Christmas weekend? Join me for the very latest.
Hello, I hope you're well this evening. It seems like another day, another strike. There's further pressure on the NHS in Yorkshire tonight as nurses in Leeds and Bradford walked out for a second day as part of a national strike over pay and working conditions. Urgent care has continued, but hundreds of appointments and procedures have been cancelled. We'll have more on the impact of the strike action on the NHS in a moment. But get your diaries out because strikes are also affecting transport and postal over the Christmas period. Ambulance workers are due to walk out tomorrow and there's another strike planned for the 28th of December. Have a look at this. Highway staff will be on strike for 6 days between Thursday and New Year's Eve. Border Force staff and postal workers will walk out from Thursday. Then another rail strike begins on Christmas Eve. That's due to last for 6 days. Bus drivers, baggage handlers and driving instructors are also taking action and further strikes are planned in the new year. Let's focus first tonight, though, on the NHS. Here's our health correspondent, Jamie Coulson, who's been assessing the impact today's strike action by nurses has had.
He knows that we've been understaffed and we're working through our breaks.
A Christmas song turned into a strike anthem by nurses on a picket line at Leeds General Infirmary. This is the second time in 5 days nurses have walked out in a dispute over pay and safety. Julie Parkinson works in trauma care and has been a nurse for 37 years.
We need support to help our patients and to care for them properly. It's not about us, it's about patients and it's about the state of our NHS. It's a war zone out there. We need support. Support us, please.
In Bradford, there were also pickets, with the strikes threatening to disrupt some routine care, although life-preserving services like dialysis and critical care are protected. Strikes are taking place at 4 of the 11 NHS bodies in Yorkshire and the Humber that voted for industrial action. They are Leeds Teaching Hospitals, Bradford Teaching Hospitals, Leeds Community Healthcare and NHS England. Last week's strike saw nearly 700 nurses walk out, although those numbers don't include NHS England in this region. While at Leeds and Bradford Teaching Hospitals, over 150 planned procedures were cancelled and more than 1,000 outpatient appointments rescheduled.
I'd really like to apologise to those patients. It is unfortunate that we've had to take this action, but for years nurses have been underpaid. We had the 1% cap on pay for many years. We had to fight to have that removed. It's been a constant fight.
Nurses are calling for an equivalent pay rise of 19%, but the government has said that's unaffordable and has previously offered an average of 4.75% with a guaranteed minimum of £1,400.
Today it is nurses, but tomorrow it will be ambulance workers as Yorkshire Ambulance Service sees members of the GMB and Unison Union go out on strike. They're unhappy at the same pay offer that has brought these nurses onto the picket lines.
The strike comes after Yorkshire Ambulance Service today declared a critical incident due to demand.
Nobody within Yorkshire Ambulance Service wants to go on strike tomorrow. They don't. It's just that we've been backed into a corner because the service, the ambulance service and the NHS is close to breaking point.
We're keen to talk, we're engaging with the trade unions. On pay, we have an independent process and we have accepted that in full. And of course that comes on top of the extra prioritisation of the NHS last year.
At a time when the NHS is under extreme pressure, these strikes add to that strain. And for now, there is no sign of a breakthrough. Jamie Coulson, BBC Look North.
So that's what's happened today. Let's look ahead to tomorrow now. Yorkshire Ambulance Service has declared a critical incident as ambulance workers prepare to go on strike. So what does this mean for patients? Our reporter Abby Giola is outside Yorkshire Ambulance Service headquarters in Wakefield for us tonight. Just explain, Abby, what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, this critical incident has been called because of what Yorkshire Ambulance Service says is high levels of demand. They're saying that there have been significant delays in waiting time for ambulances and in handover times for patients when they get to hospital. They say that doing this allows them to focus on their core services for patients. What it means in practice is that patients who are the most seriously ill will be dealt with first, and other patients may have to wait slightly longer. Tomorrow sees 4,000 ambulance workers across Yorkshire walk out on strike. That includes paramedics and call handlers, and that's in an ongoing dispute over pay.
Abby, so just explain what happens tomorrow if someone does need an ambulance.
Well, the military have been brought in to help. The Army, the RAF, the Navy will be available, but there are concerns that they don't have quite the same powers as ambulance drivers. They can't break speed limits or go through red lights. The critical incident does mean that Yorkshire Ambulance Service can call on other health trusts, healthcare services for support, but it's worth noting that a lot of them are also facing challenging times. But the core messages from Yorkshire Ambulance Services: do not call an ambulance unless it's an emergency. Earlier, we spoke to their executive director.
Whenever possible, if people can look at alternatives to attending the ED department or accessing the GP, NHS online is really valuable, and also the pharmacy as well. So we're asking people to look at those first. However, if in any doubt, any concern, then please ring 999. We'll always be there to answer. It's just that we need to prioritise our resources to those life-threatening and very serious patients.
Well, there is expected to be a picket line here tomorrow outside the headquarters and ambulance services across Yorkshire. Back to you, Amy.
Abby, thank you. Well, as you've been hearing, the NHS in Yorkshire is facing unprecedented levels of demand, resulting in long waits for care in accident and emergency. Colder temperatures from last week and that ongoing impact of COVID-19 and seasonal flu are also playing a factor. Dr Nick Scriven is a past president of the Society for Acute Medicine based in West Yorkshire. I asked him how different the winter pressures felt this year compared to previous years.
It feels much, much worse than our usual pressures that we always say is bad, but it's now come on the back of 2 years of sustained, unrelenting pressure throughout the whole healthcare system, and it is feeling, the last few days, worse than I can remember it.
And are you concerned?
It's a big concern. If patients and people who need our help can't access it in the time they need it, it's not very good. And the whole system, as it is at the moment, is not treating people with perhaps the dignity and respect they would deserve in hospital.
So where is the hold-up here? Because we're hearing about pressure on GP surgeries. We're also hearing about pressure on A&E. What's going wrong here?
The whole system is running at well beyond the capacity it was designed for. The GP services are seeing or dealing with more people than ever before. The ambulances are dealing with equally large numbers, and the hospitals are running at occupancies of their beds that, if you look at their traditional number of beds, is 130, 140, 150% of what we were designed to have 2 or 3 years ago. The whole system is full to its capacity.
Add to that the nurses' strike and the ambulance strike. How much more pressure is this putting on things?
In our region, in Yorkshire, the nursing strike hasn't, as far as I'm aware, impacted too greatly. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be like with the ambulance strike, though there are concerns about patients who are ill needing hospital who will have delays in getting to us.
And with these pressures in mind, are you concerned that patients aren't getting the care that they need?
There will be a risk that patients who can't get to the hospital in a timely fashion won't get the care they need at the time they need it. I think if you arrive in hospital, staff will move heaven and earth to make certain you get the care you need at the time you need it. But that will mean prioritising the sickest people first and people who are less sick waiting longer.
Painting a bleak picture. Dr. Nick Scriven, thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
We'll, of course, be reporting from those picket lines tomorrow. You're watching Tuesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme.
We're standing quietly and peacefully next to trees.
Thousands of trees in Sheffield features in a film called The Felling. Now, I'm sure you've heard that saying, pets are for life, not just for Christmas. Well, animal charities are warning that the cost of living crisis is having a severe impact on the lives of pets. The Dogs Trust says it's seen record numbers of dogs needing new homes because their owners can no longer afford to keep them. And a pet food bank charity in West Yorkshire says it can only help about a quarter of the people turning up for help. Kathy Killick has the story.
The rehoming pens at the Dogs Trust are full. As a national charity this year, they've received 50,000 requests to rehome dogs, the highest number ever in the charity's history. It's a grim milestone that reveals a level of desperation among owners having to part with much-loved pets.
We're just getting more and more people needing help to rehome their dogs. Because there's a number of things. The cost of living is one of the main reasons, but coming so soon after COVID and when lots of people in lockdown got dogs, really it's a perfect storm.
Each dog gets at least an hour's walk a day. Santa's a pup and needs his exercise, but with over 100 dogs on site, that's a lot of walkies. When Santa first came to the Dogs Trust, he was almost bald with a skin complaint that hadn't been treated. And this is what people are finding here, that whilst trying to save money on vet's bills, the animals aren't getting the treatment that they need. A medical condition is often the last straw for struggling owners, but pet food costs too don't help. Vanessa Hill runs a pet food bank in Boston Spa. She too is seeing escalating demand for help.
The last 6 months, I would say we've had maybe a 50% increase in demand. I'll get 3 or 4 messages or texts a day from people wanting help, basically.
And what are they telling you about why?
Universal credit, cost of living, they're the 2 main ones, economics.
Cats are much cheaper to look after than dogs, but Vanessa's seeing cat owners struggling too. And in very poor households, having to give up pets is a particularly heartbreaking deprivation. Even with the best interim care, the pets suffer too, undeserving victims of economic circumstance. Kathy Killick, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Let's bring you some news in brief now. Rugby League legends Rob Burrow and Kevin Sinfield are to be given the freedom of the city of Leeds for their charity work. Following Rob's diagnosis with motor neurone disease in 2019, the pair have raised millions for research into the disease, with Sinfield completing several extreme endurance challenges. It's the city's highest civic honour and has previously been awarded to Sir Winston Churchill and Nelson Mandela. Richly deserved as well. Now, do you remember the campaign to stop the felling of thousands of trees in Sheffield? Well, a film called The Felling has been made about what happened using footage shot by a local photographer. The tree protest took place between 2014 and 2018 after the council signed a deal with the contractors Amy and thousands of trees were cut down. Here's an extract of what happened and the film.
They can't preach that we need to improve air quality at the same time as chopping down trees. Are they mad in that town hall? Are they mad? This insanity is going to stop.
It's very clear that the council and Amy are determined to get this done. Is this worth it?
It's absolutely worth it. We never stop. We will not stop.
You have to prove to me that I'm obstructing. These men are obstructing it. It's not a legal barrier.
Please do something about it. We're all citizens.
What are you arresting this man for? What are you doing?
I haven't got a criminal record. I've never been in trouble with the police. Mine are off.
Been arrested for assault.
So that's a taste of a film and a reminder of what happened in Sheffield. Let's talk to Dr. Simon Crump, a tree protester, and also Eve Wood, who's the director of the felling. Eve, why did you want to make this film?
Well, my friend Jackie had been filming it, this protest for about 2 years, and I didn't get involved. I live around the corner for where the opening scene is, where, you know, the trees are getting felled in the middle of the night. But there had been like lots of protests beforehand, and you could see that they tried to save those trees and they didn't. So it was very clear that the council was not going to listen. And again, this was a really good sign of people just saying no and being really creative about, we're just not having this. Whatever you're going to throw at us, we will find a way, in a very creative way, in whatever way possible, to stop this, because it was madness.
It's a very one-sided film, isn't it? Was it from the view of the protester then?
Yes, yes, and that's deliberate, because it was very clear what they were doing was not good. It's like a David and Goliath story. It's Star Wars, it's Darth Vader, they're the baddies. I didn't think they deserved any airtime at all. I think it was very, very obvious what they were doing.
But there was a lot of airtime, wasn't there, Simon? And you, one of the protesters, one of the first to be arrested. We've got a film of you been pulled away by police. It started as a really parochial story and it suddenly exploded into being this big national story. Were you surprised at the response it had?
Well, it definitely escalated, didn't it? It was a small bit of people power, and then people realised what was happening, and it just grew and grew and grew. First time I was arrested, I was only there because my then partner was in the shower. So
you were taking her place, were you?
Yeah, and I'd been in the campaign 10 minutes before I was arrested, and even that 10 minutes, I just thought, this is outrageous. How can they do this?
An independent inquiry into what happened hasn't been reported back yet.
No.
It did premiere in London, didn't it, recently?
Yeah.
With this being a Sheffield story,
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what the response was from down south.
People are angry, infuriated, empowered, very much empowered by... You just sometimes just have to say no. Everybody is doing their bit. And somehow, collectively, if you've got enough people, you can kind of stand up and say no. And I think that's what motivated me.
It's going to be shown in Hebden Bridge tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Simon, would you do all those crazy things again?
Well, there's a feeling that between those of us who was there and literally put ourselves on the line...
Yeah.
That will always unite us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in and best of luck with it all.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Leeds United threw open their doors this evening for a really good cause. Families came to watch the players train at Elland Road, but they were asked to bring toys and make donations to the charity Cash for Kids, with the aim that no child in the community wakes up on Christmas Day without presents to open. Tanya Arnold was there.
Well, this is a training session with a difference for Leeds United. Normally, of course, they're tucked away behind closed doors, but they've got a very excited young crowd watching them train. There's been face painting, there's been games played, but most of all, these young fans wanted to see their heroes train. And for the parents, well, it's all for a very good cause.
I'm really excited to be here.
What do you want to see about them training?
I want to see how they warm up for pre-match and how they warm up before the match.
I think it's good that they're doing that because some people haven't been in the stadium before and haven't had a chance to see the players.
Because I've never been to the training part and I've always been to the matches.
So this is really special, huh?
Yeah.
How does it mean to you that your club does something like this?
Oh yeah, it's just brilliant, isn't it? I mean, to do something like this for the children, you know, it just means a lot. It does. It just shows how much the club care about the local community and you know, well-being of kids and making kids happy at Christmas as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. We're here to support all the families, all the children. Yeah, I think it's a really good cause.
Yeah, I mean, I think as a player, you know, game days are always the most exciting because you're able to play in front of the fans. So to have an open training where you're able to see some young kids sign some autographs, put a smile on their faces, it's always exciting.
And the charity is so important, isn't it? How important is it to the players to give back to the community?
Yeah, for me, it's one of the biggest things. You know, my mom always talks about leaving a legacy. I think that things go a lot further when you're able to do things off the field. And I think coming to Leeds, I was so excited to be a part of this team and a part of this staff because they're so intrigued on being able to find ways to give back to the community. So whatever we can do to help, it's very exciting.
The players, you've all clubbed together to give the charity the biggest cheque it's ever had in £30,000. And the thought, I guess, for you guys that kids are going to wake up with presents you've paid for is special.
Yeah, I mean, it's a luxury when you're able to wake up every Christmas and have a present under the tree. And, we take it for granted probably sometimes. But now that we're able to give back and, give every kid in the community an opportunity to do that and wake up and have a present to open, whether it's 1 or whether it's 50, it means the world to them. So to put a smile on their faces on the holiday season is the least that we can do.
That was Tyler Adams talking to Tanya. Ooh, let's talk about chockies, shall we, next? A group of neighbours in Sheffield have swapped Christmas lights for chocolate delights. Look gorgeous, don't they? Decorated their homes with giant replica sweets. Residents in Boy Street in Walkley have adorned their houses with handmade items inspired by Quality Street. They've had hundreds of people visiting to take a look and also donate money and items to the S6 food bank.
I think it really captures everybody's imagination, and everyone's enjoyed making the decorations this year, as well as choosing which chocolate they want to be, because some neighbours have taken a theme. So we've got the strawberry cream house, we've got the green triangle house, the orange cream. I think people really enjoy the nostalgia and how colourful it is, and I think a lot of people really want to help others at Christmas as well. So we've managed to pull that all together and just create something that's cheerful but also allows people a space to give back to their community. People visit all the time, they wave at me through my window. I see people walking up and down the street admiring the neighbours' decorations as well. And when I get home from work, there's quite often a crowd of people around my house making donations to the food bank. So we've raised over £500, we've increased our target to 1,000 now. And when they do donate food to the house, then they can take some Quality Street with them as well in exchange.
It's really important to us, and it's one of the things we look forward to every Christmas is the Quality Street House, because actually it epitomises what we're about. We're about community helping community, and to see all those 30-odd houses on that road all dressed up as Quality Street, it makes my heart skip with joy, actually.
Ooh, the purple ones, I just can't resist them. Next tonight, the motto of these lads is, it's nice to be nice, innit? You might remember them. A group of landscape gardeners from Kippax are making children very happy this Christmas. Reese Fletcher and his team have been making hundreds of wooden Christmas trees and selling them. With that money, they've raised almost £15,000 and they've spent it in toy shops. All the presents going to local schools and charities in the area. Jacob Tomlinson has been on a shopping spree.
That's £14,735.62, please.
Imagine walking into a toy shop and spending almost £15,000 on Christmas presents. Well, that was the job in hand for Reese and his team after they made more than £20,000 by selling wooden Christmas trees.
We've made around 1,600 trees, we've raised £22,000 and we're going to spend 14 grand in here today. We've just got to get it done.
The only gift that I want is to give them a better Christmas.
The kids are going to wake up with something, and Santa does come, he's here. We'll have 2 of them, we'll have 1 of these. Get here with that trolley, these.
This year, they enlisted the help of well-known food reviewing YouTuber Danny Mallin, who swapped his knife and fork for a shopping trolley.
As a kid, you come to these places and you're just like looking on every aisle and thinking, oh, I wish I could have that, I wish I could have that, and now I've got the chance to just go like this. Yep, we'll have 2 of them for kids, we'll have 2 of them.
It's almost exactly a year since Reese and his team last came to this toy shop and spent around £10,000 on toys. This year, they've got double that. All the toys that they buy will then be given to a local school and the local charity, who will then distribute them to vulnerable families across West Yorkshire just in time for Christmas.
Some people take for granted that the kids are unwrapping hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of presents, but there'll be one kid that could want this at $16.99 and he's never going to get it. These guys are giving them the opportunity to do it. I mean, look at his face here, little Nathan. He's loving life. He's like, yes, let's go! It's very emotional, and it is, and I never thought it would get to me like it has, but it has.
I woke up Christmas Day, I just woke up with a big smile on my face, knowing that all these kids were actually able to open something they wanted.
10.5 grand last year felt like we'd hit the lottery. Do you know, this year we've blown it out of the water.
With their Christmas sleigh or van filled with toys, there's just one thing left to say.
Like it says on the back of his shirt, nice to be nice, innit?
Jacob Tomlinson, BBC Look North.
Certainly is nice to be nice, innit? There'll be lots of very happy children on Christmas morning, I'm sure. Now, what a difference a week makes. The warm weather that we've had, the rising temperatures have turned ice into puddles yesterday, forcing our skating rinks to close temporarily. Take a look at this. In Leeds, skaters were met with melting ice as the rink defrosted in the unseasonably warm December sunshine. Yorkshire Winter Wonderland at York, look at that, the designer outlet. It closed because the wind and warmer water made it perfect for ducks. Plastic ducks, albeit. What's happened, Paul?
Amazing, wasn't it? I mean, we've gone from -10 to 14. I've got some
Layers
pictures.
to shorts.
Indeed. Pictures from above Hawes in Wensleydale. They had a load of snow, if we can run the pictures. Friday night into Saturday, it's a different landscape there. But that was Sunday, and then just look what's happened within 48 hours.
That's good.
It's back to normal, so the snow was very, very temporary indeed. And we are looking at more unsettled weather and rain in the forecast over the next few days. Let me show you the headline then. Actually, daylight hours tomorrow. It's not looking too bad. The rain's coming through tonight. Should clear fairly quickly first thing in the morning. Some lovely winter sunshine to come. But it is unsettled. We've got a weak feature bringing a lot of cloud on Thursday, a bit of patchy rain. Friday could turn out to be a stinker with rain, persistent and locally heavy. At the moment, the weekend, the Christmas weekend, looks unsettled. Near normal temperatures with sunny spells and scattered showers. Nothing too exciting, I'm afraid, certainly if you're looking for snow on Christmas Day. Now, there's the satellite picture. A lot of clear weather, 1 or 2 showers, but the showers are basically dying away now. It's clear for a time, but we will see cloud and some outbreaks of rain spreading up from the southwest. 1 or 2 heavier bursts in there for a time, clearing from the west later, lows of 4 or 5 degrees. Tomorrow's high water times then in Scarborough 1:47, Bridlington at 9 minutes past 2. So a wet start across eastern areas, that rain very quickly moving away, and then a lot of sunshine. Apart from the Yorkshire Dales, Wensleydale, we've just talked about a scattering of showers, but elsewhere it looks a really nice day. Quickly turning dry with plenty of sunshine. Quite a breezy afternoon. We'll see temperatures around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius. Thursday looks rather cloudy, a little patchy rain or drizzle, mainly at first. It should become drier and a little bit brighter through the day. It might get off to a dry start Friday, but a poor day with outbreaks of rain, persistent, spreading up from the southwest. Over the Christmas weekend, sunny intervals and scattered showers. It does look as though it will turn colder, though, as we head into the early part of next week, Boxing Day thereafter. That's the forecast.
Christmas came early for me today, didn't it? You bought me a coffee.
I did, yes. A one-off event.
A one-off. Never let it be said he's a Scrooge.
Happy Christmas.
Thanks, Paul. That's it from us. Sally Hurst with your late news. Bye-bye.